What's up, everybody? Oh, no.
Hi, Rollins.
Y'all can do better than that. What's up, everybody?
Woo!
We are the Vulgar Geniuses.
My name is Dennie.
And I am Veronica, and we're so grateful to have you all here and sharing this space with us tonight. We're very excited. This is a huge moment for us, and we cannot wait for you all to hear the amazing lineup that we have. You know, normally when you come to the museum, it's very quiet. Everybody's whispering, which I don't understand why, because the pictures aren't like talking to you. So this is the night where we get to be loud and proud, and all the people who are coming up are going to share some wonderful pieces with you. Is that right?
Yes. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know there might be other events that's happening. You could have done something else on your Thursday afternoon, but here we are listening to these wonderful people and their pieces. So I think we're going to get started.
We're going to get started. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first reader of the night. Let me get my handy dandy paper. I have no glasses, so bear with me if I make a mistake. Tonight we are joined by Fatima Sani. Fatima is a New York-born Nigerian storyteller. She is currently attending college in Florida and pursuing a psychology major with double minors in English and creative writing. She enjoys writing poetry and short stories when she's not intensely analyzing movies and television series. Her favorite place in the world is anywhere family can be found. And she strongly believes the best ideas are the ones you forget to write down. Please welcome to the stage, Fatima. So this is not your regular literary reading, right? This is a podcast. We talk to people. We like to get to know them. So before Fatima shares her masterpiece with us tonight, we are going to do a little hot seat situation with all of our readers tonight. I'm going to pass it off to Dennie. She's our hot seat queen.
Hi. Are you ready to answer all of these questions?
Most definitely.
Yes. Since you said you like to watch a lot of movies and TV series and analyze them, what is the best and worst of this year? Movie first.
I would say the best movie of the year so far, Women Talking. A lot was said. And the worst movie of the year so far.
Go for it.
I don't really watch bad movies, to be sincere.
Oh, excuse us.
I don't really watch bad movies. If it's poor, then it's not worth my time.
That's true. How about TV series?
I would say Fleabag. It's not of this year, but it's been my best so far. It's been keeping me entertained and happy about the world and its existence.
What was the worst? The one that you've watched the first episode and you're like, oh, this is trash.
White Lotus.
White Lotus.
It's an acquired taste, and I didn't acquire it at all.
Okay. I respect that. So it's okay. So you are pursuing a degree in psychology and doubling in English and creative writing for minors. What was the conversation like with your Nigerian parents when you presented them with a decision to get schooled in the arts?
Okay, quick story time.
Yes.
I have an older brother and an older sister. And my brother pursued accounting, which is commercial. And my sister was set up to be a lawyer, but she changed to humanities. She wants to be a motivational speaker. And I wanted to be a doctor. Like, I had my white lab coat and stethoscope and everything. Then I was very loquacious growing up. I didn't really have a filter. And I would, give advice to my aunties and uncles who were experiencing marital troubles. So, from the 4th grade, and I would be like, oh, Auntie Hafsat, just say sorry. Or, Uncle Musa, just buy her flowers, and it would work. I mean it. So I thought I was set up to be a marriage counselor. So psychology was in the running for the longest time. Then I got here. Psychology is cool, guys. I mean, try it out. But I won't be pursuing a career in psychology. But I know that writing will always be with me. And my parents definitely encouraged each of us to pursue our talents and our strengths. Like, my brother was very athletic, my sister was very popular, and I was like, super smart. So I really got to shine through the creative arts, whether it was writing, poetry, or short stories.
Well, see, now we know. So without further ado, we'll have Fatima read for all of us.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Dennie. Thanks, Veronica. So the piece I'll be reading is actually from a chapbook collection I submitted during my sophomore year at Rollins for Dr. A's visual poetry class. I wrote a chapbook called Sunflower Psychosis, and it was centered on my time volunteering at the Winter Park Day Nursery. Essentially, 18-year-old Fatima taking care of a bunch of adorable children who were not from Nigeria, let's just say that. And it really put me in a position where I was kind of disassociating from myself, in the sense that in that environment of being in a day nursery, I felt more like one of the kids than one of the teachers or assistant teachers. So that's what Sunflower Psychosis is inspired by. And the particular piece I'll be reading is called Bad Flesh, and it's after Maggie Smith's Good Bones. So this is Bad Flesh, everybody. The world is big and full, and I tell my children this. Every day I tell them. I've seen many parts of it that have welcomed me and kept me safe. Many parts of it that have pulled out all the stops to maintain a smokescreen of utopia, of sanctuary. This I also tell my children. I am trying to prepare them. In all the world's bigness, there are small things scratching on its edges. In all the world's fullness, there are empty pockets taking up space. The world is made of excuses for the crimes we've committed against it. Monsters exist, though they hide their bad flesh well. They make friends to feast on them, or at least to eat the good parts. I tell my children this, and I can't help sounding apologetic. I want to teach them well, but how do you teach your mistakes to little people, hoping they don't repeat them? How do you explain these dwindling deeds in a world so big and full? In a world where everything is so easily swallowed? Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, man.
Keep that applause going for Fatima. Fatima set the stage for us. She has set the tone of the night. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful, wonderful piece. I love hearing Nigerians talk about themselves, because it's a lesson on knowing who you are. She was like, my brother was athletic, my sister was popular, and I was the smartest. Like, there's no doubt. So thank you so much. This was a wonderful, wonderful moment. And now we're getting ready to bring up our next reader of the night. Please welcome to the stage Angelisse Perez. Angelisse is a student at Rollins College, majoring in classical studies and English with minors in archaeology and education. They are a former VPK teacher and a current online teacher without school, with classes on English, art, and mythology focuses. They are a published writer for Fresh U, an online magazine for students in college. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to pass you off on to Dennie now.
Hi. How are you? Good. Okay. Are you ready for this?
No, but we're going to do it.
You are going to do it. So our research found that you are a Starbucks drink master. If a god or goddess were to walk in and order the caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino with extra crunch, who would it be and why?
It has to be Zeus, because that man's basic.
Shots fired.
I can't stand Zeus. I can't stand that drink, so it's got to be him.
Okay, yay. How does one approach teaching mythology? Has it always been an interest of yours to include history or historical data since you also minored in archaeology?
Yeah, so when I teach mythology to my students, I like to do it from like a storyteller point of view, like how it was originally done back then. I like to teach it from a global perspective and from the idea that like it's always changing and being developed based on who says it. There are certain stories that circulate that have so many different versions depending on who's reading it. So I love to like tell people that like you're contributing to modern day mythology as well. The stories that we tell are one day going to be passed on from generation to generation, and these stories globally kind of unite us, and I like to really look into how they connect us as a whole people.
Okay, so without further ado, this is Angelisse Perez. Everybody.
So this poem is a piece that I did in a collection where I was exploring poetry and short stories from a mythological and religious perspective. I did this as a project in my original college, Valencia College. And this poem I just continued coming back to. It was a very personal subject for me as someone who grew up very religious and, you know, here in the South. So it really touches a lot on like religious guilt and religious trauma using biblical stories. And it is called As We Watched the Ark. Each drop fell, bringing with it a taunt over our own depravity. It shouts, liar, schemer, thief, murderer, adulterer, covetous, human. Well, sir, in your flawless plan there lies all but one fatal cavity. Did you not tell us to lie, plot our schemes, plot that which remains to be stolen? Why then are we trudging through puddles of wrath? And what great plan lies here in the aftermath? Humans are, as humans have always been, weak and held prostrate to sin. Did you think that some water will wash it all away and make you forget the mistake that you so wrongfully made? You cannot go around boasting free will one day and then smite down your children for feeling so betrayed. You shouldn't create life with brains and hearts and souls that reach beyond, then destroy them for deciding that with their life they will abscond. For what good does a man free will when one wrong choice could feign them ill? But I know that I mustn't argue with your all-knowing plan, for I know you know far more than I. But as I watch the water reach the tips of my hands, I wonder if I truly have to die.
Keep that applause going. Thank you, Angelisse. Y'all did not come to play today. Did not. Rollins got some good writers up in here. All right. Our next writer that we are going to welcome to the stage, please put your hands together for Asha Budhai. Asha is a full-time Rollins College student majoring in psychology and double minoring in philosophy and creative writing. She is also a part-time work study at Rollins English department, as well as a child caregiver through care.com. Look her up if y'all need somebody to come watch a child. She enjoys time with her loved ones and exploring new, beautiful views as much as she can. Thank you, Asha, for being here. All right, it's your time to get in the hot seat.
So we were told that you wanted to be a lawyer and work with kids. Is that true? Yes. Tell us a little bit more about that dream of yours.
So I actually want to go either two paths, to either be in child law or in developmental psychology. And pretty much I want to advocate for children and be a voice for them when they don't feel like they're a voice for themselves. So, yeah.
If we're going to go on a road trip right now, where are we going? Italy for a road trip, y'all. Yeah. We're gonna be taking a lot of cars.
Take a plane instead, and then a road trip in Italy.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So without further ado, we're gonna give you Asha Budhai.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I am writing or reading two pieces that I wrote in Professor Agrawal's class. It was part of a project, the chapbook, as well as Fatima. She had asked us to write pieces where we also were able to identify ourselves. And I was more into visual poetry, so it has a lot to do with visual, and I'm going to read two pieces since I don't have that many words on both of them. So as an Indo-Guyanese woman, I always struggled with both self-identification and just as a person, there was a self-struggle of self-appreciation as well. This was going to initially be titled Identification, but for some reason I was more drawn to self-evolution. Instead of it being modifications of human species over time, it is a personalized in-progress self-journey. This allowed me to navigate both through my self-obstacles as well as apply parts to where there aren't obstacles, or rather what makes those obstacles a little less challenging. So the first piece is Sindoor, property or marriage, choice or obligation, red sari or white wedding dress, accepted or shamed. Who are you to say what is and what is not a sin? Love, respect, equal, happiness, loyalty. Biased standards, expectations, judgments, outdated customs, unacceptable. A woman's decision for who puts Sindoor on her, no one else. Property or marriage, choice or obligation, red sari or white wedding dress, accepted or shamed. So my next piece is titled Mindless. Loss of thought, fruitful thoughts, loss of mind, loud minds, lack of word, too many words, no clear conscious, transparent consciousness, minimum voice, maximum voices, failing to stabilize, too much instabilities, yearning for silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Asha. Before we bring up the next reader, I just want to just give a special shout out to these two wonderful people over on our side. We have none other than DJ Rubox Cube, who has been providing us music and sound. And we have Preston Long, who is our producer. This is very important to acknowledge what they are doing today. This year is the first year that we have been able to actually go out and do a live event because, COVID, right? Mm-hmm. And we felt like this was the time that we could go. We felt like it was good. And we could not be able to bring what we do to you all without their help. They are masterminds behind the equipment to make this happen. So I want you all, just give them another round of applause. All right, so our next reader is none other than Isabel Palanco. Isabel is a junior enrolled in the honors degree program pursuing a major in English and a minor in creative writing. She currently works as a writing consultant at the TWC with a specialty in editing papers for clarity. In her free time, she enjoys gaming, listening to music, and chatting with friends. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, Isabel. So since we like to talk around here, what was the best piece of gossip that you've shared or has been shared to you by your friends that you can share with us in confidentiality?
Oh my gosh.
What is the tea, girlfriend?
I honestly have no idea. I don't really gossip with people, but I guess something I always talk about is the parking here, because I commute to school, and I had to park on the roof yesterday, and then
God.
today it was raining, so I must got caught in the rain. So it's a nightmare,
It
honestly.
is.
Yeah.
It never gets better. Never. So what makes creative writing so interesting to you?
I like that creative writing just lets you express like the emotions or feelings you have about any kind of topic. Like it could be about like your personal life, themes like nature and the like. And actually did bring a poem about my personal life that I'm gonna share. So I'm excited to share that for everyone.
Okay. Well, Isabel Palanco is going to take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. So I brought a poem from a class I took with Dr. Jamir here. I took a intro to creative writing class, and for our poetry module, we got to submit a packet of poems. And a big topic I focused on was I moved here in 2014, so I'm not from Florida, I'm from New York, and I kind of wanted to capture that, like how it feels to move from like up north to down here, and like getting used to surroundings and stuff. And like I still would like to go to New York, so I wrote about this poem is called City Life. So I kind of talked about the different sights you see, like the things you hear. So let's get started with that. City life. There's a home everywhere you look, forever or temporary. In the alleyways, strewn with rubbish. Under the train station platforms, on cobblestone-tossed streets. In cramped and congested apartments meant for one rather than two. Nestled in a corner shop filled with trinkets and baubles, overflowing with authenticity. Up in the skies above, smoky and hazy, more than what meets the eye. Seated in a bright yellow taxi cab, one destination to the next. Sunken at the bottom of the water, swimming with copper medallions. Rising 20 stories, a sight to behold. Skyscrapers as far as the eye can see. Laid to rest forever in a square of steel, names etched as a memory of what once was. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Isabel. All right.
Last but not the least.
Last but not least, please put your hands together for Zaria Clark.
You got fans, girlfriend.
Zaria is a junior majoring in sociology with a minor in African American studies. She's from Kissimmee, Florida, and is one of her biggest hobbies/interests is photography. I'm going to give the first question before I pass it off to Dennie, because your major is sociology and minor in African American studies. We are in peculiar times, sister girlfriend. So I would like to know what do you hope that your work will contribute to allowing people to understand why it is important for us to understand all things African American history and within that sociology umbrella?
Ooh, I like this question. Okay. Ultimately, I do hope that, so one, I want to pursue like a counseling career. More specifically, I kind of want to do something where I can tackle the ultimate issue of like the school to prison pipeline. I'm hoping that I can find a way to let students of color or just specifically Black students know where they came from, you know, and why our story is so important and so impactful as to where we're going now, and, you know, kind of helping with like your worth, you matter, based on all that we've been through as Black people, or just, you know, people of color anyway. And yeah, I don't know, I really hope that I'm able to pursue a career where I can help people know that they are important and that their voice matters, even in a time period where our voices specifically are trying to be silenced. So,
I like that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. So, on a lighter note, but none. When was the first time you told yourself like, oh yeah, I like photography and I like taking pictures, capturing this still life?
When I was 4, I got a little V Smile camera, like the
Okay.
little orange V
I
Smile
better start
camera.
my son now.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
go
know.
ahead.
I had a little V Smile camera for fun, and I used to my still life was literally my littlest pet shops, and I would set them up and take pictures of them like in front of their house. Or as I got older, like we would go to family functions, and I just took my little camera around, and I don't know, I felt like useful, I guess, because I was always the youngest, so all the adults are doing their thing, and I would just be walking around with my camera. They're like, "Oh, baby girl, come take a picture of us," so I could, do something, even though I couldn't like hang out with the adults or the big kids. So that was probably my moment.
Do you still have those pictures?
Oh no. I still have the littlest pet shops though. Still have those. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that you've heard all about her life, we're gonna give you Miss Clark.
So, we have a little context. My piece is called Creep Time. I am somebody who struggles with sleep issues, so I'm typically up all night, but like sleepy during the day. So I came up with the term creep time because my friends and I typically say that like weird stuff happens at those late night hours, so those, those creep hours. But in my case, it's not weird stuff. It's usually when I have brainstorms about random things, hence this piece. So yeah, creep time. Begins with birth and ends with death. Do I view life in chapters and decades, year after year, month to month, or day to day? Dwindle it down to hours, minutes, and seconds? And maybe my adolescent years spent on Dyer Boulevard, the street of KMS and the club, the strip that feels like home, from the gas station and the corner store to where my friends and I would roam. KMS is a halfway point between what it was and what it's becoming. The gentrification of one side and not the other is sadly numbing. Between the luxury townhomes, apartments, and two-story houses, it makes me think of the time that has passed and the fire within me arouses. Where did the time go? My adolescence came and went, but when I was living it, it felt like forever. Now I find myself headfirst into my 20s. Adulthood is creeping up on me, and I worry that I'll blink and feel death will be tiptoeing right behind me as well. Thank you.
Keep that applause going for Zaria.
So good.
Y'all were amazing.
That
they were
was
amazing.
bomb.
Right? Oh my God. Thank y'all for just, leaving the stage in ashes. It was amazing to hear you all read. More than likely, we will probably be asking you all to come to our Midnight Marauder Story Hour that we do. We do it every quarter at Stardust. And I think that they need to hear what you all were doing here tonight. It was truly a blessing to listen to you all read. And it encourages me to make sure I save my money when y'all get those book deals. Because
Right.
I know they're going to drop. Y'all were amazing tonight. Y'all put your hands together for them. They were great. So, how do you want us to do this? Do you all?
So we're going to have a Q&A, but I was going to start, but then others of you can come up since we can't really have a roving mic. I'm sorry.
So don't be shy.
So don't be shy. So we're going to have the mic right up here.
I have a stand.
And you can ask the Vulgar Geniuses some questions.
Yes.
Okay, and I just want to say, thank y'all. Thanks. I'm blown away. Okay, so I have a little question for y'all. Okay, this is my question. Are you secret writers yourself? Having started a book club during the pandemic, I think I've heard that maybe you, Veronica, might have a streak of poetry in you.
In a past life, after I graduated from college, I was like pulled into writing poetry after my boyfriend and I broke up. I wrote this piece was probably like 15 minutes long. God bless whoever let me get on that open mic and let me read. But it definitely opened up something. My earliest touch of poetry was through Nikki Giovanni, Ego Tripping. That piece, I heard it, I was like, that's my poem. And so to pursue it after college, I did it in slam format. Someone heard me read one night, my friend Danny O. She ran a slam that used to run at Austin's Coffee House. And she came to me after me performing a piece. She's like, I've never heard anything like that before. Would you mind, coming to this slam? I didn't know what slam was. And I get there and I'm just like in awe. Like, oh, competitive poetry? I like to compete. I like to win. And I was very good at it. And we had a blast. And I know you had a former student, Kat, who she was part of the slam community. That's how we met in the literary community. Now, to answer your question, that was a long way to get to your answer. Secret writer, every now and then. I don't write as much as I used to. I have a friend named Todd who runs a night called Loose Lips that is down at Little Indies that sits next to Will's Pub. And every now and then he might ask me like, hey, do you think you can come and read? That's truly the only time that I read now, if someone had asked me. But I don't particularly write in the moment.
We're going to have to ask you. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to ask you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Dennie.
This is my secret identity. I don't write, but I read a lot. So this is a passion project for me. I work in the healthcare profession by trade. I'm a nurse, at daytime, and a literary warrior at night. Yes. So I truly enjoy it, and I read all the things, but I don't write. I don't think I can. It's not the gift. My gift is reading and expressing my love to the books and to the written format. And that's it.
Well, you talk.
We talk.
You talk.
I talk. I talk a lot, sometimes.
Yeah, that's a form of orality.
That's true.
That's yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That's orature.
Half
okay,
point.
those of you who took that's orature. Not literature, it's orature.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to give all the folks here an opportunity to ask the Vulgar Geniuses questions about how they started this podcast during the pandemic. And was it during the pandemic?
Actually, it was like 2 weeks before the world shut, before we knew what was coming. I love TV more than I love books. Dennie can attest to that. And Celeste Ng's Little Fires Everywhere was getting ready to come on Hulu. And I wanted to watch it, but I also know I needed to read the book beforehand. And I have reading spurts. And I was reading some books, and I knew the show was coming, and I texted Dennie. I was like, hey, we should read this book. This show is coming out. And she was like, sure, let's do it. And that's how it started. That was in March. And we started reading the book. We watched the show. And then in the middle of it, I was like, we should, record this as a podcast. Dennie is an introvert. So for her to say, okay, was huge to us doing what it is that we're doing. And so we started out that way, where we would just hop on once a month, record our thoughts about a TV show or about a book that we were reading, and the rest is history. Now we're like actually talking and engaging conversations with writers.
Yes, I was baited by the books, and I can't say no. But on our 100th episode, Celeste Ng actually came to our podcast, and we actually talked to her through Zoom. We wish they would all come down here. We have one coming next month, but yes, we had a pleasure talking to her. So it was a full circle moment, and it was like, okay, I think this is something that we can and we need to continue doing until we can't. Questions, concerns, reactions? Hi.
My question would just be, once you were talking about starting your podcast just before the pandemic, and we had that big boom in popularity in podcasts and digital forms of communication and the such, I was wondering, what was your experience like with the promotion and the passion with which you promoted your podcast?
Promotion? Girl, go ahead.
Okay. When we stepped, this is like me not knowing anything, right, on how we would to promote what it is that we are doing. You know, you hope, like, you tell your friends, like, hey, I got this passion project. I want you to listen, watch, read, whatever, all of the time. But then you realize, like, you know, everybody doesn't like to read. They might not have an interest to listen to you talk about a book that they probably will never pick up. So, but as far as like the promotion part, it was like a hit in the mist, because we did stuff where we would do the Facebook ads and we do the Instagram ads. And I was like, our numbers are not going up. I could not figure out exactly what we needed to do. And it wasn't until we started actually interviewing the writers themselves that we started knowing, like, oh, okay, this thing is starting to uptick for us. Like, people are like tuning in from different places, right? But it was when we had Kiese Lehman on our show that he reposted, you know, that one time, and it was just like through the roof. His episode is still the highest rated episode of all of our podcasts, because he is just a phenomenal, prolific writer. So it is, for us, it's about who we get on the show, who says yes to talking to us for an hour, that helps get the word out, as long as they are reposting it, because we can repost till we die. But when we are interviewing these people and they're like, we're going to share, I like this conversation that I had with these two women, we're going to put it out, that really, truly helps. And, you know, now doing events like this, it gets the word out within the community, because we have not had that within the last 2 years. So now we get to meet all of y'all. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hey!
So I've listened to a few of your podcasts, of course, and the first time I saw you all live, one of the things that I love is the questions that you ask, because they get me thinking. So how do you come about with composing these questions?
Oh, that's a good question.
In my dining room table. So we read the book. We talk amongst ourselves what we like about the book, what's challenging, what made us question some things inside the book, and then we look at the author themselves, like the life that they live, what they stand for, what they are interests and stuff like that. And we try to go in a very delicate manner, because sometimes we talk about trauma, sometimes we talk about, marginalization, and we don't take those things lightly. We really try to not, repeat questions for people, because sometimes we can, the immigrant experience, there's a multitude of experiences like that, but we try to zone in on who the author is and what their experience is. So we try to get meaningful questions from there. And sometimes it's all out of luck. Sometimes, it just comes out from here and we're truly interested. But, for the most part, we try to be very conscious the life that they live and who they are when we ask these questions.
Yeah, it involves a lot of stalking. It's great when people have social media. We can figure out a lot of things. So sometimes, even one of our readers tonight that doesn't have anything. So, it's kind of like where we had to go and find pieces. And sometimes we'll surprise people because they'll be like, "Oh, how'd you know about that?" We're like, because we look. I'm a rising Scorpio. I'm a detective. It's into me. All right.
Okay, so you said sometimes you touch on trauma, which I listened to one of the podcasts, and my thought was, how do you all decompress after you have such heavy conversations?
I usually... I sleep. Yeah. We go to sleep. Sometimes my friends might call me after an interview, and I just don't answer the phone. I'm too tired, because if you're not a person who likes to talk to people all of the time, it takes a lot of energy, to have that exchange. I know that when we finish this, we're going to sleep. We're going to get us a good sleep. We sleep very well after interviews. But when it's heavy information, I think in terms of like the trauma, I think when it is a nonfiction writer, we are more concerned about them. We know they wrote the book. They know what's inside of the book, but to be able to relive that experience over and over, we really try to take care and caution with that. So for us, it might not be overwhelming at times to talk about those things. It depends on the subject matter. But for the writer, I think that's where we are concerned. We gauge where they're at. And we'll know, like, if we need to skip a question, like this might be too much, or, we can keep going because they're in it.
I read cozy mysteries, if that helps. I just read like books that I can it's like a rom-com in a book, something that just to kind of like clear my head. But and I watch silly movies, TV, like just to distract the mind.
Thank you. Hi, it's me again.
Hi.
I'm a person of stories, and I'm deeply invested in yours. I'd like to know, how did you guys become friends? And this is a two-part. Do you guys, depending on how far back your friendship dates, do you think 20-year-old Dennie and 20-year-old Veronica would have liked each other?
Yes. Yes.
We're going to share this conversation.
Yeah, so Veronica is not my original friend. Veronica is a friend of my husband.
By way. See that young man standing in the back with that little child?
Yes.
That was my friend first.
That's my son.
He was my friend first. Basil and I, as well as Rubox, we were all in a jazz group together. Rubox played piano. Basil played saxophone. We did our thing. I did the poetry and singing. We wrote songs that probably really sound bad, but people let us perform them. We did it. And then I decided I didn't want to do poetry anymore. Everybody went off and did their own thing. And Basil became a nurse. And I was getting ready to move to D.C., and I was having a go-away dinner at Mellow Mushroom. And Dennie had been dating Basil for a while, but we have not had the chance to meet. And that was the first time that we met. So Basil talks a lot.
My opposite.
Total opposite. Basil talks. And I was sitting at the table, and it was like, this is Dennie. We introduced. I was like, hi. She's like, hello. And she sat there the whole time like this, quiet. And Basil's just, when she left to go to work, I think she was on call, and I told Basil, I said, this is your wife. You need to marry her, because anybody who can sit next to somebody who talks that much is like, they're made for each other. And so they ended up making a baby, and I went and helped out with the baby, and it was, we've met each other at different points of their being together, but it was when she gave birth to Cairo that was what sealed the deal. So that's how we met. And yes, I think in my 20s,
Yes.
we would have been rolling in the streets, running them.
Basil might not have been made the trio. It might have been Dennie, and Rubox over there.
Yeah, we would have been running around Orlando like wild women, I think, if we were to meet. And it has always been my regret that I had not met her prior to them getting married, because I was like, damn, all the time that we could have shared. But we're making up for it.
I hide. I don't go anywhere.
No, she doesn't. So this is a special treat.
This is it.
Any other questions? No, nobody wants to know our business. Oh, go ahead.
I can chat with it.
Well, we're recording.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay, hi. So, like, you're friends, but you're doing, like, a podcast together. So that involves, like, logistical planning and stuff, all that fun bits. How do you, like, keep your personal friendship separate from, like, your, I guess, professional, like, podcast world vibe? Like, your co-host vibes and your friend vibes. Like, how do you draw those lines to make sure, like, you, like, are still friends even if, like, you're doing work together?
Yeah, so I let Veronica run the show. I'm here for moral support. I'm here for, laughter and giggles. No, I think we kind of understood from the very beginning, like, what we want to do. And I think, when your heart is in the right place, it's not very hard to do certain things. I just show up pretty much most of the time. I read the books. I show up and I write the questions. I research. Veronica does the technical stuff because I am not good at that, and I have a whole other, secret identity. So I have my whole other thing going on in my life. But it helps when you have somebody that you can rely on and you can be like, hey, this is what we're doing. And she's like, what if we do this? I'm a bouncing board? What do you call it? Yes, soundboard.
Soundboard.
Sorry. I
was like, yeah, bouncing board. That sounds right. That sounds right.
We made a thing. Yes, so, we talk a lot. We communicate a lot for the most part. And yes, I rely on her a lot.
And also, we live in the same house. I live with them. So, that personal life is already there. Like, it is everything. I'm in it. They're in mine. They know all my business. So,
she knows ours.
It's basically living with your family and you do a podcast with them. It has been truly a blessing to be able to have that dynamic and to be able to be in the space when you're finishing a book or you're in the middle of a book and the person is right there and you're like, let's talk about it. So yeah, that answers your question. Anything else for us tonight?
Welcome back.
Thank you. What is the most interesting or insightful piece of information you would say you've learned from doing this podcast?
Writers really like to talk about themselves. They like to talk about their lives, what's happening about them, and they're very excited. Because, before we thought that we're intruding. Before I thought that, we shouldn't ask that because it might be too personal. But I think because that is their life and that is their work, they want to talk about it. And they're very excited when people are interested in the things that they have to say. So that has been, one thing that surprised me the most.
Yeah, I agree. Because when we're writing those questions, Dennie is good at coming up with those personal questions. And I'm just like, do we need to ask that? And then she'll ask it. We even had one interview where we have a question like, what is the one question that you wish that people would ask you? And it was a question that we were like, no, we're not going to read it. And the writer ended up saying, I wish they would ask me more about this character in the book. I'm like, that was her question. So she's really good about crafting those types to get those responses from the writers. And I think also, in addition to that, it has been one of the greatest gifts to be able to sit, even when it is through Zoom, to sit with these writers because they are so freaking smart. And for them to say, yeah, we'll talk to you all. It is a beautiful exchange. Like I said, Kiese Layman is the top episode, and that is one interview that has stuck with me the most. One thing that I think about often is when we're talking about how publishing companies don't always want to publish stories written by people of color because they tell them that there's no audience for that work, right? And he has this quote on our podcast that I think about all the time when he says that if the people are written to, they will read. And I said, that's the most profound statement. People want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to know that someone is investigating their life so much that they want to put it on the page, and to know that someone recognizes that importance. And all of the writers that we're talking about and talking to, that's where they live. And we're so grateful that they wrote what they wrote and that someone decided that they were going to publish those pieces. And outside of Kiese would probably be Azar Nafisi. She wrote Reading Lolita in Tehran. It is the first time where I was reading a book when I was in my out of college working life, and I wanted to start a book club off of that book. And then having that opportunity to actually speak to her is just a full circle moment. So this has definitely been a blessing to be able to share it with Dennie, to share it with you all, and to, get to talk to these people for free. Anything else? Oh, we have a question in the back. Come on up.
To put it out there in the universe, and I want you guys to say it out loud, who is somebody that you want to interview in the future that you haven't been able to?
Jason Reynolds. Jason. We've been talking about Jason from the beginning.
And Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yes, him too as well. But definitely Jason Reynolds for me. He is a children's writer. Phenomenal. It's a children's book, but it's one that anybody can read and just be shook by reading his words. He was the ambassador for the National Book of the National Book Awards and the Congress, Library of Congress. He's been doing so much work with children and literature. And his book, Ghost, was the book that we gave to a class at Eccleston Elementary during the start of the pandemic. And it is a book that the teacher still contacts us to tell us that she teaches this book every year, that the children are just so wrapped up in it. And it is my goal. It's my goal to get this man to come to Florida so we can talk to him live.
One day, someday.
One day. So if y'all know Jason, y'all hit him up.
Or Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah, him too. Anybody. We'll talk to anybody. I think our ultimate goal has always been, when these writers go and they do their book tour, Orlando is rarely on their radar. And so it is our mission to make it so. And so next month,
Minda Honey.
We're going to be writing. We're going to be speaking to a writer named Minda Honey. She has a new memoir that is about to come out called The Heartbreak Years. It is truly a phenomenal read. It is messy about being in your 20s, trying to figure out where you're going, moving cross country with your boyfriend, and then you find out the boyfriend don't want to be with you no more. So it is about her journey of all the different situationships, entanglements that she has been in, and she'll be at Zeppelin Books October 8th. We really hope that you all will come and meet her. She's a treat. She's from Kentucky.
Yes.
So that's a big moment for us. So we hope that you all can come out and enjoy that with us. Any more questions? You have, okay.
So how has the city of Orlando and the unique experience of being in Orlandoan shaped your work on this podcast and kind of what's happened in your life in the past 3 years?
So I think Orlando is so ready for a literary renaissance. And I think there is a space for, more writers and more events like this to come up. So we are trying our hardest to invite more people, to do more events. And I think, Orlando is long overdue for something that has to do with like the arts, because you very rarely see like, the setting of a book is always in New York, California, or like overseas somewhere like in Europe. But it's very hard to find like books written by people that actually are from Orlando or at least Central Florida. So I think it is time, and baby steps, but we're very happy with their reception of all the people coming through the events and being very, very enthusiastic in just meeting the authors and supporting everybody that writes.
Yeah, I'm an Orlando native. Dennie is from the Philippines. And so to be able to have been a part of the literary scene and since like 2002 up until now, I've seen it truly shape shift into this huge thing, and it's just going to continue to grow, and it is the greatest thing to witness in the city that I grew up in, right? That I know that what is possible and what can come about from that. We have a lot of literary I don't want to say forefathers, but people who are just forging the road currently. One being Ryan Rivas. He is the editor and publisher of Borough Press. He has a book event this Saturday at Zeppelin Books.
23rd.
Yeah, his book Lizard People is coming out. But the work that he has done, he has dedicated himself to community. Todd Cavanis also. Those two men, I think, really have done a great job in bringing writers from different places and shining that light and letting people know, there are people who love to write and who love to read, and they're here in Orlando. And I'm beyond grateful to be able to be here and experience all of that, and to do it with Dennie.
Okay, I really want to thank both of you for coming out here and being with us. I mean, let's just give some applause over here to the Vulgar Geniuses. They're making, Florida is feral, and they're part of, I think there's a feral renaissance, and you're part of it with Ryan Rivas. And yeah, his book, and Ryan Rivas is actually going to be coming to my class, and I think it's on the October something or another. I'm going to be in conversation with him.
Yes, that's right.
So on Saturday, but yes, and just I'm so grateful for you agreeing to come here, and thank you to all of you guys for reading.
Yes.
And for sharing your work with us, and thank everyone for coming out. Okay.
Give a hand for yourself. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Agrawal, and also to Adeline. I don't know where. You all really helped us to be able to bring this event here, and I'm so grateful that you asked us to be a part of this this night. We got an email after our first live event from Vidyut, and it really was the email that hyped us up, made us feel good. When she wrote about us speaking power to what it is, this written word, and bringing it to people, and especially in this time where we're living in a state that does not want us to read, that does not want us to know who we are, that does not want us to know the possibilities of where we can be as a community. And it is a crisis that we're going through. And to know that we are doing this here with you all tonight speaks truth to power. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Rollins.
Thank you, Rollins.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed our show.
Our show has been produced and edited by Preston Long. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast.
Our theme song you've been nodding your head to is by Sean Kantrowitz. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Dammit. That's SeanDammit.
DAMMIT.
Follow us on Instagram at the Vulgar Geniuses.
Bye! Are you currently looking for a bookstore that has a great selection of books? Well, Kizzy's Books and More is that bookstore. Visit www.kizzy'sbooksandmore.com to purchase your next book for our book club. Use coupon code Vulgar Genius to receive 10% off the subtotal of your first order.